We going? Recording? Everything's going?
Oh shit, wait, 1 minute.
Hey everyone, welcome to Shelfside. Back at you again with another root review. Is this the first one? Have you done a root review?
No, this is the first time we're talking about root on the channel.
Back at you again with the first ever root review. Our
Have fun
first
with it.
impressions of the Underworld Expansion. So Underworld Expansion brings 2 new maps, 2 new classes, and 3 new Vagabond characters.
Wait, are we just
You have the
rolling with
Corvid
this? Are we running
Conspiracy,
around? Okay.
Yeah, who cares?
Just
which
wait,
is a
just
craft.
redo it.
What? No.
I just talked over it too.
So?
Just redo it.
You fucking asshole. You're ruining my... Whatever, someone else do the intro.
Hey, what's up, guys? Shelfside here to bring you our first impressions about Root, the Underworld Expansion. Now, see, we got these hype connections. Jason over here, our good friend, happened to, do that Kickstarter shenanigans with the, Leder Games. So he got this, early before it actually hits retail. So we got to play it a bunch before it's even actually out, and we got some first impressions we want to share about it. First off, what comes in it? Well, there's got just 2 new classes, or 2 new races, whatever you call them, right? You got the Corvid Conspiracy, and you got the Underground Duchy. And there's also a new map, no, 2 new maps, right? Yeah. Let's first talk about the new classes, I guess. These are like, probably the most important part of the game. It's like, oh, look, I can play as new guys, do different things. Duchy. So I played these guys, I think once, played them twice, right? I think you played against them quite a bit now.
Yeah, I've just been playing against them. Pretty traumatic experiences there.
Yeah, we definitely hit. Okay, so I like you guys a lot, right? They offer a very unique playstyle because it's like, okay, so how they work is that they got like a minister deck, okay? You gotta sway those ministers. Every minister you sway basically means, oh, I got him now. Every time you do that, it's like, bam, you get a whole new action. There's a million different ways you can build these guys if you just go out and just be like, I'm gonna sway, I don't know, like these 4 ministers instead of like these 4 I did last game. But there is one key thing that's very consistent with them, no matter what minister you're swaying, is that they got this thing called the Underground Barrel, okay? It's like this own little, they got this own little pocket dimension on the map. No one else can go there except for them. And then from there, they can pop up on tunnels they place on the overworld and just, they just fuck shit up. It's crazy. Funny example of this. So, Shiva, he was playing a game as a Vagabond. He was just kind of out in the middle of some clearing, just minding his own business, being like, oh, this is all chill. It's a nice, wonderful day, and I'm going out to do some venturing. And my guys, my moles, they dug a tunnel right in the spot. I popped out 7 people onto his spot because it was complete overkill. I had way too many actions. I was just like, fuck, it is hilarious. So the 7 moles popped out. It's like some fucking Naruto shit. They just jumped out at like trees in the ground or some shit. I don't know. They saw him and it was just like, you see that guy? Fuck him. And we rolled a 3-0 and we broke all of his shit.
I think you rolled 2 3-0s.
Yeah.
2 attacks on me. I had to kill 6 of my items. And I had to slip into the forest.
So yeah, that was dumb.
For a turn.
I love how they can just do that. It's just like, oh, okay, if I just discard the right card, like color card to go wherever, it's just like, all right, we're putting a tunnel there and we're gonna spawn 4 dudes. And if we want, we can move in more guys later. But that is crazy. I love how you can just play these guys as like I'm gonna manage like 3 spaces on the board I'm not even adjacent to like at all, and you're adjacent to all of them because the tunnel is low. What was your experience with them like? How did you make use of the tunnels?
So the moles are interesting because they have that burrow that you can use and make it adjacent to everything. But I think the more interesting part is that every time you get a building hit, you have to lose your highest ranked minister. So your most powerful action gets knocked off. Root is all a game about checking, right? So you always check the highest person. If you end up the highest person, it really hurts if you get checked. So if your building gets knocked out, you lose your best action, right? So you have to make sure you have the right swing turns so you don't appear to be the leader, because if you do and you get knocked down, it hurts a lot. So that's interesting. When do you want to look like you're improving your actions, and when do you want to like slow down and make sure that people aren't hitting you?
Yeah, that's very, very true, because literally all of the like highest tier ministers, they just do nothing except get you points, which just paints a massive target in your back. Like no one wants that shit. By the way, Shiva though. Okay, so you haven't played these guys. What the hell is your experience playing against them? Like, is it just, oh, I just get gangbanged them from nowhere? Is that just it? Like,
yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? So I think it's like surprising to like have like this like faction that's kind of playing a little bit traditionally, like you're like moving around the map, your movement rules apply, but then they can all of a sudden just group up on one square and like really fuck you. Like the only like, lizards kind of pop up in random places, but like, they can't really like attack you. Sometimes they have big like converting turns. Cats can move a lot onto you, but that's somewhat predictable because they've been like stockpiling.
You sure not seeing like a million moles like just chilling out in the burrow square like is not enough of an indication? Because like,
I think the problem
for the reason for this is the total quantity of like warriors, whatever you have for the moles. Like it's typical warrior faction is 25, right?
It's 20.
Sorry, it's 20.
Yeah,
but
less.
The thing is, on their upkeep or like their bird song, you spawn a lot of warriors. So at default, you spawn 1, but you have all 3 of the citadels out. you spawn 6. So it's like a free action. You spawn 6 warriors. Whereas other factions, like, you have to build up to that point. Like, for example, cats, right? You can only spawn 1 per building. For these guys, every turn you spawn 6 guys on the burrow. Like, if you have all 3 out. If you have 2 of the buildings out, you still spawn 4 guys. That's crazy. That's 4 free actions, basically.
Yeah, I remember when I saw the recruit action, I was like, that doesn't seem like it's worth taking. Why don't I just build more buildings and just spawn more guys? That's the meal I did first game. Was like, I'm just gonna just build all 3 buildings and start just gangbanging people in the middle of nowhere. That was a fun way to go about it.
And not gonna lie, I think there were a lot of turns where I just didn't look at the burrow because it wasn't on the game board. So I was like, oh, okay, everything is fine. They're not on the map that much. And suddenly, like, I end my turn and he's like messing around with the burrow. And I'm like,
Any interesting strategies you would like to share on how you would counter these guys?
So basically, when you fight in an area and you're a typical faction, you have warriors defending your building. If someone tries to hit your building, they have to go through your warriors first. But if you're lizards, because they're cults and whatever, they can convert your buildings. Both Woodland and the moles get hurt really bad if you remove one of their buildings. But the lizards, for some reason, they don't have to eat through all the warriors. So no matter how many warriors, you can have 6, 10, 20 warriors on one spot. They don't care. They just kill the building.
The lizard is by far the biggest anti-turtle class in the game. They are just bam.
Yeah.
I'm there, screw you, your thing's gone. All right, let's move on from the moles. Okay, Corvid Conspiracy. First impressions about these guys. So basically how they work is you have like very basic actions, 3 actions a turn. That makes them interesting. So whenever they spawn, you only spawn like 1 dude on like every space of a color. So you spawn like 1 guy in every red spot, as an example. Okay, but when you actually start taking actions, you can start removing your dudes. And you put down what's called a plot token. The back of it has a feather on it, all right? But the front, or wait, back, front, wait, which one's which here? Whatever, but basically, opponents can't tell what the hell you put down, all right? But you do, all right? You can put down like bombs, you can put down snares, you can put down like this thing called a raid, this thing called extortion. Basically, your tokens are gonna be face down. If you flip them up, they'll do something crazy. You basically are just playing infinite mind games with everyone, which is like, oh, what did I put down there? Oh, what's going on, huh? Am I gonna blow up everything on that spot? Am I gonna start stealing your cards, or I'm gonna start like spawning more guys? I like these guys a lot, basically because the threat of any of the tokens potentially just being a bomb is just hilarious. I love doing that. You free people out so much just by just putting a token somewhere. It's being like, I don't know, just
yeah, I feel like adding mind games to like a lot of games, just make it better. I mean, I haven't actually played this faction, but like even playing against it, you're kind of like, oh my god, and it feels like really satisfying to get it right, and it must feel really satisfying for like someone to like misguess, like, oh, they must have put a bomb, but like they were really like thinking on another plane, or like
playing 3D chess.
Exactly, they were playing 3D chess. It's satisfying to like play against, and it's satisfying to like probably satisfying at least to play out. You guys can probably talk more about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I really like this mechanic where someone can during your turn try to guess what one of the tokens is, but that to show a card of the same color as the clearing when the token is. And if they correctly guess what the token is, then the Corvids have to remove it from the board, like no question asked. Like, oh fuck, you got me. But then if the guesser is wrong, they have to give the Corvids that card that they show. So it's like, ooh, okay, there's a bit of a gamble here.
Well, the weird thing is, this is the one race where I felt like I could get a ton of cards, but then other races, like for example, if you give cats a card like a bird, it's really scary because they can just spend the bird for an extra action. The only thing you really spend cards on, other than like you can craft all the cards, but the only thing you can really spend cards on is the thing at the beginning of the turn where you discard it and you spawn a guy and everything. But that's only 1 card a turn, and you draw a card by default at the end of your turn.
Also, there's an incredible amount of foresight you can do with this race if you just want to be paying attention to how people are like moving. Because there are definitely times I'll just be putting down like extortion tokens on spots where I thought people were just going to move into. And it happened actually quite a bit. I got way too many cards playing this race. I definitely noticed what you're talking about, where I was like, how do I get rid of these cards? So I was just crafting your turn. I was like, fuck it, I don't know. But I will say, though, that in my first playthrough with these guys, I definitely had a very unique, bizarre experience. I was playing a very board-based game. I don't think that's supposed to happen, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, so from what I understand, all of the root factions are designed in a way where there are like 2, maybe 3 different ways to play it. So there's a token there that spawns guys in every adjacent clearing. So I think that if you focus on getting people to kill that token and you just keep spawning people, I think you can play a very board-based, because the only thing preventing you from playing board-based is you don't have a recruit action. You don't have like a default, I recruit a guy here. You only have the thing at the beginning of the turn where you spend a color and then you spawn a guy in every clearing of that color. and you have a token that you can, if it gets killed, you can't just flip it up and spawn guys. If it gets killed, then you can spawn people.
There's also the warrior limitation. There's only 15 of them.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're just going to be out of dudes if you're too successful at that, which means you got to be switching up your tokens. You can't just be full board with these guys, essentially.
I guess other comments regarding the expansion. So I did play both expansion maps. So both of the expansion maps have like a gimmick, I guess. So the first one, or the front side, it's called the lake map. Basically every map on a route has like a river, but instead it has a lake. The gimmick is that each of these 4 ports you can access through like a raft. The raft starts in this corner. Essentially what happens is you can use it once per turn. Every time you use it, you draw a card. I don't know, it doesn't feel much better than the other maps. I think I still prefer the river maps to this, but the other map is pretty interesting. So this is the mountain map, and essentially you see these orange paths. So at the beginning of the game, they're closed, or they have like a marker over them, and you can spend a card if you're in any of the adjacent clearings once per turn to get a point. Basically what that does is it makes, like, for example, these 2 clearings wouldn't be adjacent if this path was closed, so you can open it up to make them adjacent. The other gimmick in this map is this center clearing has something called the pass, and basically at the end of your turn, if you rule this clearing, you get a point. It incentivizes like aggressiveness because you don't have to wait around to get the point, you get it at the end of your turn. Actually, it was really cool because the first game I won with Riverfolk hasn't won a game yet before this.
Yeah, you just set up shop right there. I was like, hilarious.
Basically what I did is, you can see the river connects this with the corner clearings. What I did is I controlled the middle clearing, and then you can pay the Riverfolk, use their warriors for rule. So I basically camped in the middle, and I set my price at 1. And I said, if you want a point at the end of your turn, you can pay me 1. It's pretty fun using that as a bargaining chip. So I like this map a lot better. It incentivizes like an aggressive playstyle, kind of. This doesn't come with the Underworld expansion, but in the Kickstarter, they gave you another deck called the Exiles and Partisans Deck. So if I recall correctly, Cole Worley, when he designed the base game, he said he designed it pretty conservatively because he didn't want like the cards or crafting to kind of shape the game. With this deck, he said that he went more all out to try to make more aggressive playstyles.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're kind of like copying the abilities of like other factions. Like for instance, there was one game where I had like the basically the lizard's converting ability as the Corvids. I was like, wait, that's really strong. I can start just converting dudes on just space that I wouldn't normally be able to go to because of how their like spawning works. Like, whoa, what the?
Basically, all the abilities are a lot stronger, and they're not only strong, they're cheap to craft. So the other big thing is the base game has these cards called Favor of the Blank. So Favor of the Mouse, Favor of the Mice.
We just
favor
call them
of the
bombs.
Foxes. Basically, we just call them bombs because they cost 3 of a suit to craft, and it destroys all enemy pieces on any of those clearings. Let's just say they allowed for some really swingy games, because there have been games where someone launches that and basically 1 or 2 people are wiped off the map.
Yeah, I think that like in general too, for me it was definitely taking out the bombs was like the biggest thing, because like if you're playing one of like these factions that like relies on like board presence, it's really a pain to like play around the bombs, and like, you know, sometimes you don't really have a choice, like especially if you're the cat. Then like, you know, it's possible that like your base is on something, has to be on something, and if it gets wiped out, then
it also makes races like, so for example, some of the Vagabonds have access to 3 hammers. So if they have 3 hammers, basically they can just walk into a clearing and bomb. Use one of the bombs. Since we're calling it bombs. So it makes factions that craft things more easily a lot stronger. As of now, I would say if you're going to play the game, I highly recommend playing with the new one if you can get it. It is not part of the Underworld expansion, it's like its own thing that you can buy. But yeah, I think that deck is a lot better than this.
Yeah, and also it just made me care about the cards more in general, because like with base game, I basically didn't give like 2 shits about anything that wasn't like a bomb or just like crafting just items for points. Like for most of the abilities, I was like, whatever, I can live without this. I wasn't really excited to like go and, you know, craft those. I was just like, just give me points, yeah, whatever. And occasionally be like, aha, bomb.
Yeah, so I guess to wrap up, if you got Root and you wanted an expansion, in terms of your first expansion, I would get the Underworld, because not only does it come with the 2 factions, which are interesting, but they're like relatively simple to learn.
Yeah, they still function more normally. Like I still like move around and like attack, stuff like that.
It also comes with the 2 maps, and I think the mountain map is definitely worth trying out. I think Underworld is a lot better than Riverfolk, actually, because Riverfolk, not without going into too much detail, the Riverfolk only gives you the 2 factions, the Riverfolk and the Lizard Cult, and those 2 factions are a lot more complicated to play.
They're also just more jank. Like, there's like definitely, in my opinion, like the 2 jankiest factions in the game. Like, they just operate on a whole nother level compared to everyone else. Just like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, well, yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, Underworld is by far the better first expansion pick up for Root if you are interested and curious. But fortunately, it's not on retail yet. We'll get in there, but that's our general first impressions, our first take on the expansion. I like it a lot. Definitely like it more than the Riverfolk expansion. But yeah, at the end of the day, though, I'm saying Underworld, like, so much more bang for your buck. Like, 2 new maps and the 2 races is just so much more value than you're gonna get out of the Lizard Folk. The Riverfolk. Expand the Lizard Folk. We like this expansion more than the first one, is what we're saying. So when it's retail, definitely go check it out if you're interested. It is 100% an amazing addition to Root. All right, well, that's gonna be it for our Shelfside first impression of Root, the Underworld expansion. Thank you all for tuning in, watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at ShelfsideYT, and we'll see you all in the next video. We'll be back.
See ya.
For sure, dude. It's crazy the amount of ways you can just play Root now, dude. Like, new map, new deck, new factions. Like, dude, the amount of just permutations I've set up here is just insane to me. That's what I love about this game so much. Like, you have a completely different experience every single time. Like, it's great.